This one's called Growth. A little spookier.
Growth.
Just trying.
This one's for Father of the Bride, too.
Excuse me, in what section can I find the bed sheets? Oh, the bed sheets? They're not in this section. They're downstairs. Oh, they're downstairs? Yes, you need to go downstairs to find the bed sheets. He started walking downstairs to find the bed sheets. A dark, endless staircase. This is pretty freaky,
That was good.
but it's a good vibe.
It's so Lynch, like some weird, like old guy, like standing, like in the rows of clothes, just staring at you. Bob, dude.
Yeah, Bob. You won't find the bed sheets here. And all of these tracks are like 15 minutes long.
I can't believe that the retail environment would tolerate that super minor, spooky one.
It's a different situation over there.
Oh, and I guess Muji also sold compilations called Muji BGM, background music, 1980 to 2000. You know what's funny? I remember when Muji first came to New York, I was kind of struck by how vibey the music was. And it wasn't like this cool. It was just kind of like weird, pretty classical music, but there's something seemed unique about it. God, I wonder if you can find footage anywhere of just like a Muji store in the 80s where you hear the music and you just see what the day-to-day life was like.
Surveillance footage.
I'm really into this Bon Iver doing original music for Target, though. Excuse me, is there a Starbucks in this Target? There is a Starbucks in this Target. How do I get to the Starbucks in this Target? You need to walk to the front of the store. One of my colleagues will assist you. What else do they sell at Target? This one's got a little too much of a beat, but
I remember
it's kind of cool.
pre-Starbucks Target having like pizza and ices.
Oh, yeah?
What I have in heaven hell. You called, not came, stay tall through it all. Falling fixture, just the same thing.
The Starbucks in a Target is so dark. Do you know what I mean? It's like specific. It's like people who read the manual on how to work at a Starbucks.
Right.
Well, we got a friend of the show, Winter, and I'm pretty sure I told you about. We got this guy, Winter. He's a friend of the show. He's the guy who goes to every Starbucks in the world.
No.
Oh, I never told you about that?
No.
There's this guy, Winter. He's kind of a legend.
Okay.
He's a super smart dude, very dedicated to Starbucks, among other things.
Okay.
He's just like the super smart guy, has a lot of different interests, and he pursues them with a passion. And so with Starbucks, a long time ago, even kind of before Starbucks was all that trendy, he decided that he was interested in going to as many Starbucks as he possibly could. And it's a bit of a Sisyphean task because there's literally like 20 Starbucks opening a day in China.
Right.
And also, even just to keep track of the US ones, he was saying he comes back to LA and he's trying to hit all the new Starbucks. Well, guess what? Some of the new Starbucks are old Starbucks you thought you crossed off your list that now moved to the other side of the street or got renovated. And it's really actually a hard hobby to have. But I feel like we were talking to him about like, where does he draw the line? And I'm pretty sure he was like, I'm not interested in in-store Starbucks. I guess those are like licensing deals.
Right. Well, there's some that are super bootleg. Like I remember being in a Barnes & Noble.
Oh, yeah.
Like, thank God.
They all used to have Starbucks.
Thank God there's a Starbucks. And then you go there and it's not a Starbucks. They serve Starbucks coffee and it looks vaguely like a Starbucks, but pastries are all wrong.
Okay, so the coffee's the same.
The coffee is the same, but
You can't get that breakfast sandwich there.
no, the breakfast sandwich is not there.
Right.
I think the thing about a Starbucks at a Target is, I guess the people work for Target, or maybe they have no loyalty. I'm neither Target nor Starbucks, sir.
I think there's Starbucks employees.
A Starbucks at a Target is a temporary autonomous zone, like a pirate ship.
Yeah.
You familiar with this concept, Taz?
No.
There's like this esoteric book somebody gave me once that I started reading that called Taz, Temporary Autonomous Zones. That's literally all I remember about it. And I remember they said something about pirate ships, but I guess the kind of concept that most people live under a government or some sort of rigid structure, and that once in a blue moon, a true, albeit temporary, autonomous zone springs up. Maybe like Lord of the Flies or something, I don't know, where just suddenly there's like a lawless place where
Firefest
would maybe be a temporary autonomous zone. And I think a Target, I guess that's a permanent autonomous zones. But you're saying the Starbucks in a Target is usually...
It's like a counter. It's disgusting.
It's like an airport vibe.
The lines are out of control. The people who are working there, they're wearing a Starbucks shirt or whatever. Maybe they
But they have no loyalty to...
They do not
this also
have any loyalty.
They're Ronin. They're masterless samurai. They don't subscribe to the rules of Target or Starbucks. You know what this also reminds me of? I remember like growing up on MTV Cribs, which was like, first of all, filled our heads with such nonsense because like later I found out nobody owned any of these houses. It was like pure fantasy.
I remember the Sugar Ray one, which was like a weirdly modest house, like in the valley, which was probably true.
Oh, and he had like a sense of humor.
And he had like a garage with like the setup, and the band would rehearse there. And this is like in their like maybe even past their prime.
Yeah, but the one I remember, and it's also funny the things that people would project as like baller status on MTV Cribs. So one I remember was Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, and he's showing his house, and he has this big sick house and crazy pool and whatever. This is where the magic happens and all the cliches. And then I remember he's like, let's say this like 98, 99, 2000, just like,
I know where this is going.
Guys, I'm such a fiend for Starbucks.
Oh.
I had to have them put one in my house. And then I remember he like shows this kiosk in his house, like maybe near the studio, and there's like a bunch of Starbucks cups and some bullshit. I just remember even however old I was, just like being like 14 watching it and just being like, but it's not a Starbucks, man. You got some Starbucks in a corner at your house. That's when I started to put my foot down about Cribs. I was like, this does not make sense.
You know what's funny about that?
So he was making his own Starbucks coffee. He just had like a coffee maker.
He probably had an assistant who was like brewing the coffee. But wait, that's really funny you said that, because I remember working in a studio and one day a car came like just really like a kind of abrupt entrance to the studio. I think he might have even hit a gate or something and opened up the car door and was bringing out what is it? The Jägermeister, you know, like the frozen Jägermeister machine.
Oh, yeah.
Like gigantic
Did they
thing.
have it at like a college bar or something?
Oh yeah, exactly. And he was like bringing it to me because the studio didn't have one.
Yeah.
And it would just like increase the vibe. I mean, it seemed like a really nice thing he was trying to do, like just share with everybody.
Yeah.
Heart was in the right place, but it kind of reminds me of the idea of
Wait, but who was it? Tommy Lee?
It was Tommy Lee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about it. Okay, so Tommy Lee, bless his heart, he's
into installing
corporate
sort of third-rate versions of retail environments.
Imagine maybe in his kitchen he has like the twirling hot dog and taquito thing from 7-Eleven. Every day he comes down, he's like, well, grabs one hot. Well, okay, this write-up says, Motley Crue drummer and erstwhile porn movie star Tommy Lee's 1999 purchase of a Starbucks might have seemed a sound investment for those post-rock years, but his financial strategy had one very major drawback: 0 paying customers. Why? The replica cafe was built in his house as a gift for then-wife Pamela Anderson. Okay, so maybe it wasn't for him.
Interesting. She loved it.
I hope so.
Replica cafe. So there was actually like a counter and seating and whatnot.
That just sounds depressing when they're
just
home
like
alone.
A very sterile corporate retail environment.
Actually, that'd be like a Michel Gondry short film. It's Tommy Lee presenting the replica Starbucks for Pamela Anderson, and then he unveils another layer, and it's a replica Target.
I mean, it reminds me of Trump too. I mean, couldn't you see like him installing like a miniature like Carl's Jr. in
yeah, seriously,
the East Wing of the White House?
That's honestly the next step after. I mean, his fast food pig out fest it's almost like 2 TC to even talk about.
It's too on brand.